Hey folks, it's me, Jessica. Yep, I am still alive. I just want to start us off by apologizing for my extended absence. The story behind it is really boring. I have just been extremely overwhelmed by work and personal life issues and just way too exhausted to make any content. But it's 2019, it is a brand new year, so I wanted to kick things off by talking a little bit about Unite Fight. Now, this is a topic I have wanted to cover for a while, but I've been hesitating to. I want to cover it because Unite Fight is honestly probably the most important event for players to do, but it is also probably the most confusing event for players to do. Old players and new players, because they keep on changing stuff. It's probably good I didn't do a video before then, because they just changed some things a few United Fights ago. But anyway, the reason I've been hesitating is it is an extremely involved topic. It's so involved that I am actually going to split this talk up over the course of several videos. This one, obviously, and then I will go into more depth when the event actually starts, which, God, starts in about 6 hours. I'm not prepared. So yeah, today we're going to do an overview of like what the event is at a high level, and then we're going to talk about one of the primary motivators for doing it, which is the Eternals, the characters you can unlock for doing Unite Fight. And yeah, let's just jump right in. Now, there's going to be confusing terminology because, like everything in Granblue, there's different terms depending on whether or not you're talking JP or NA. United Fight is also referred to as Guild Wars, which might be a more accurate representation because that's basically what it is. It's crew versus crew battles. So you might be asking yourself, what if I'm not in a crew? Well, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. And if you don't take anything away from this, take this advice. You need to join a crew. You should join a crew. You're only going to get minimal rewards. You will still be able to participate a little bit, but you're not going to get much if you're not in a crew for this. You've got time. Try and get a crew before it starts. Even if that means just like looking up a crew through the terrible Granblue tools for finding a crew and joining one. Any crew is better than none for this. So yeah, it's about a week-long event. And once it really gets into it, it's going to be like one crew versus another crew over a day, basically. That forms a series of rounds. There's 4 fighting rounds, so you face 4 crews, and then the final round is just basically a reward round based on how well you did during those 4 fights. So when I say it's crew versus crew, you're not directly attacking them. It's a points battle. When the event proper starts up, you'll be able to host specific events that, specific raids and fights, and all of them are worth points for completion, and then your crew's total for all their completions for the day is tallied up against the enemy crews, and then the crew that has a higher total wins. It's pretty simple. Before that stuff starts, though, there's the preliminaries, which is what starts in about 6 hours. As you can see from this little table, you can think of preliminaries as a qualifying round, basically. You're not facing another crew directly, you're just going to be trying to host as many raids as possible and getting as many points as possible with your crew in order to determine what bracket you get placed in. Higher brackets mean more rewards, but they also mean harder crews you'll face. And it's a week-long event, so if you end up in like A bracket or like, God forbid, like superseded or something, you're going to have a lot of really hard fights. You will get the best rewards, though. It'll be a long week, though. Like, Unite Fight, I think, is best to think of as a marathon. You'll be very tired by the end of it. Other things to talk about, each Unite Fight is focused on one element. So this one is dark focused, meaning pretty much all the raids will be light elements, enemies. So dark teams will get a distinct advantage. United Fight happens every month or 2, and it rotates through all the elements. So, like, the next one won't be dark, for example. So, yeah, that's pretty much as much as I'll talk about the high level of this, we'll talk about more event structures and some tips and tricks for the different fights when the event proper starts up. But for now, I just want to give you kind of an idea of what you're getting yourself into. Join a crew, join a crew, join a crew, most important thing. And then let's talk about the Revenants. Not the Revenants, the Eternals, which come from the Revenant weapons, if that wasn't confusing. Here we go. Should have called them the Eternal weapons or something. Alright, so Revenant weapons. There are 10 of them. Basically, at the start of a United fight, you'll be able to pick one weapon to work towards, and you're going to be grinding and get multiple copies of the weapon. You'll want to get at least 4, so you can fully uncap it. And then a thing they added, I want to say about a year ago, is at any point you can change which weapon you're working towards once only. So the idea is you grind, let's say you wanted to get the spear, so you grind up 4 copies of the spear, and you're like, okay, I don't need more spears. I want to work towards the axe now. So you switch to the axe and you grind as many copies as you want, but you cannot switch again after that. You have to wait till the next United fight to do a different weapon after that. So these weapons all tie specifically to an Eternal. The Eternal, I'll go a little bit more nerdy. The Eternals are considered like the most powerful crew of adventurers in the Granblue universe, and it reflects in their characters in game. Like, these are almost universally like S-tier characters for all the elements they're in. Some are meta-defining. The worst ones are still really good, and they're also how to say this? When they first came out, they're super powerful, and then they fell out of favor just because, like, they got power creeped by new releases, which is a thing that happens. And then Cygames buffed them, and then they were the most powerful again, and then eventually they got power creeped again, and then they got buffed again. And you kind of get the idea. These characters are supposed to be, and always probably will be, among the most powerful characters, because they take a lot of work to get. So yeah, each of the weapons will tie to one of the characters. So while these weapons are pretty good on their own, in particular, the Force Sky Blade is really good because it provides you with, that is not the one I wanted to look at. Force Sky Blade Sterling. Yeah, okay. So yeah, once you start upgrading it, it will give 30% double attack, 30% triple attack to your team on an Oogie, which is huge, especially if you're starting out. And these start as light weapons, but you can element change them into different elements as you see fit through the upgrade process. But yeah, the primary reason you get these is not really for the weapon, it's for the character. The weapons, though, are good weapons, though, so keep that in mind. The other one that I would say is probably one of the most strongest ones is the 6-rune Fist, because it gives you, like, mirror image, basically. It makes you super survivable. So yeah, again, different terms based on NA or JP, because everything has to be confusing in Granblue. The Spear unlocks Henri, and I'm just going to give you a brief idea of what these characters are like. I'll link the actual, like, this page, so you can look at them in more detail if you want. But yeah, the Spear unlocks Henri, or Uno. See, it's the blah. Stop it, pop-ups. It's the one rift spear. So one, Uno, get it? Because like they're the characters, the Japanese names for characters are all like numbers, basically. The English names are not, because I don't know why they did it that way. Actually, maybe I have that reversed. In any case, yeah, so Uno, one, Henri, he is a defensive character at the 4-star level. And by the way, I should also say, you can take these guys to 5-star uncap. I'm going to do a separate video on 5-star uncapping them, because that is an incredibly involved process with a lot of pitfalls. Yeah, that is a whole beast of its own. At the 4-star level, Uno was okay. He was a character that like had some really strong defensive abilities, could like give damage cuts to their parties, substitute, stuff like that. When he got his 5-star uncap, he became just fucking bonkers. Like he is one of he's not only like the super tank of all the characters, he is incredibly high damage dealing. Uno is one of the stronger Eternals, and really a meta character for water teams to this day. The bow, what is it? Two crown bow unlocks my favorite character out of them, Song or Toyen. Toyen 2, get it? Yeah, I prefer Song. I guess the Japanese version are just names, and then the English version is the number, which is probably why they all sound dumb in English, but I digress. Song is, she is dating Sova. That's very important. Just why she's one of my favorite characters. It's super cute. Anyway, sorry. Song is kind of a gorilla for light, by which I mean she's kind of a heavy hitter. She's got a lot of debuff abilities. Like, she's more accurately a debuffer that can hit hard. But the biggest thing about Song is she can paralyze, and she is one of the very few ways to reliably paralyze a raid boss. Paralyze, if you didn't know, basically prevents the boss from really doing much of anything while it's up, and I believe her base lasts 60 seconds, and then Song can also extend it with her her ultimate ability thing. All these characters have an ultimate ability, by the way. So Songs will extend all debuffs on the target, and that allows you to maintain the paralyze for a very long time. And that paralyze is raid wide, so because it's so powerful, Song is a mandatory character for a lot of raids to have at least one up somewhere, because that paralyze is kind of a fundamental part of strategies for beating a lot of the really hard bosses. Yeah, like having Song is really important somewhere in a raid. So because of that, she is commonly considered one of the most important characters to get, especially you play light. 3-0 comes, or Sarasa, which I prefer, is the Axe character, 3-Tiger Axe. She is a heavy hitting Earth character. Once you get her 5-star uncap, she does ridiculous numbers with her Oogie and all that. But the other thing about her is she has an ability called Ground Zero, which is a skill you can just hit, and it basically just nukes the target for about 900,000 plane damage. Plane damage meaning you can't be really mitigated by anything. And then that number just goes up in her 5-star version. And that makes her like a super useful character for farming, especially like farming things like Omega level enemies, because you can just come in and just ground zero them, and then you're pretty much done. That's one of the big reasons why she's really strong. But on top of that gimmick, she is also a very powerful attacker. 4, Fewer, the dagger, also known as Quatra, he's another debuffer. He's got an absolute shit ton of ability to debuff the target with various debuffs. Unlike Song, he doesn't really have like one single standout debuff like Paralyze. He more just is generally a pretty useful debuffer that can apply a lot of different debuffs. The big thing about him though is his Oogie is 35% double attack up, 35% triple attack up when he's 5-starred. So it's basic in addition to a delay, which is a huge buff, and it basically it's a little bit better than the Revenant dagger. So like if you need like multi-attack, Song is a really solid character as a buffer for your team in that regard. Not Song. Quatra. Sorry. Got Song on the brain. So the staff, the 5-soul staff, is Funf, as she's also known. She is a healer primarily. She can apply like Dark Attack down, Double Attack, Triple Attack down to the enemy. She's got a ton of healing abilities. She can clear debuffs. She got buffed kind of recently, like last 6 months, I think. So now she has this ability to do Magical Torrent on one character, which basically super buffs them for 15 turns. Like, so long. Like, gives them whole bunch of improved stats, but also means that they die, they will come back to life at 50% health, which is super handy, especially for anything where the boss can just randomly kill somebody like your player character. Beyond that, she can give like stamina buff to a team. So really, she's a healer slash buffer. It's the way you can look at her. She is quite strong now. She was one of the weaker Eternals before her upgrade, before her buff rather. But now, because stamina is also primarily how people run light, she's an extremely solid character. 6. The 6 Ruined Fist gets you Seox, or 6. Guess which version I prefer. 6 lore nerd thing is, I believe, like, pretty universally considered the strongest one-on-one fighter in the whole Granblue fantasy universe. Like, he is like, he kicks everyone's ass. That's basically his thing. So he is also worth noting the only choice you have for dark characters. If you've noticed, each of the elements have 2 characters except for dark and fire, which only have 1, but he's a solid one. Like his prowess and whatnot is reflected in his character, because he does an absolute shit ton of damage as an attacker in dark. He is a character that just ramps up damage slowly, but once he gets going, it's just he does so much damage. Additionally, he's also really survivable. He has very, very strong ability to dodge most attacks, and because of that, like, I routinely get into situations where like my entire team is dead except for 6 on a raid boss, and like 6 just finishes out the fight by himself because like the boss can't kill him. So 6 is very solid for dark. Now, Siete, or Siafun, Siete, I prefer, is the sword character. He is a hard-hitting charge attack character that can instantly charge everyone's charge attack meter. Very, very, very powerful for wind. Actually, probably him and the other Wind Eternal are pretty much meta for wind right now. Very strong character. Octo, Eta, the katana character. In some ways, well, I guess, yeah, in some ways you could say he's similar to Siete in that he provides charge meter for the rest of the team. I would say he is one of the ones, like, Octo and I think Quattro are ones that I would say aren't, like, necessarily absolute top of the meta, but they are still very strong characters. Neo, like I said, is fundamental for wind. She's an extremely strong buffer, and combined with Siete does like an absolute shit ton of damage for your team. She's very important to get. There's a lot of debate over which one's more important to get first, if you're going to get both of them if you play wind, but like she's very strong. And then 10, the 10 Wolf Gun is another one of my favorite characters, Tien, or Esser. Esser's an interesting case. So Esser, I haven't seen the numbers in a while, but Esser used to be the most commonly made Eternal. She might still be, I haven't looked. Because she gives 5% item find passively when she's on your team, even if she's in the back row. So, like, a lot of people just make her and stick her in the back row of every single team to get better item find, which is really what I did also. The funny thing about her was Cygames used to balance this by making her actually not a very strong character. Like, she just mechanically wasn't as good as the other Eternals as far as like a team member goes. They have kind of fixed that recently. I think she got buffs like within the last few months actually, and now she has the same magic find, which is 10% by the way if you 5-star Uncapper, but now she's actually a really strong fighter as well. So like, just she's a win-win for you. If you're fire, she's also your only choice. Like dark, fire only gets 1 Eternal, but she's a good choice. So yes, once you decide which weapon you want to work towards, because you can pick again, you're gonna have to do a whole bunch of upgrade steps. I am just gonna link this because the wiki covers this really thoroughly, and honestly, this will be a very long video if I go over every single step of the upgrade process. You have to collect a ton of items though. One piece of advice I'll give you, this might seem like an overwhelming amount of items. You're intended to collect these over time. Like, you can like hardcore rush to try and get this Eternal right away, but the more reasonable thing is just like over time you slowly accrue the materials over a few weeks or something. That's a much less burnout way to do it. The big thing though is, the biggest limiter is you're gonna need a gold brick to do the final upgrade, and that's why, like I've said many times, gold bricks are super important. Don't waste them, especially don't use them on uncapped weapons unless you have every Eternal that is, and every one of them is 5-starred. So yeah, one last thing, let me pop back over to my game. Go away, window. Okay, so how you actually do this. Once you get the weapons, you're going to go to the shop. Go to Zero Carte. Go to Weapon Series, go to Revenant Weapons, and then all the weapons are going to be listed here along with a progress bar. And once you click one, you'll bring up all the things related to progression of these weapons. You need rusty weapons also for part of it, which is why they show up. And once you click one, it's going to bring up the upgrade menu for whatever step you're on. And then it's pretty self-explanatory from here. Like I said, I'll put a link to the wiki if you need help getting any of the specific materials, you don't know where they come from. And yeah, you're going to be able to element change the weapon, as you can see here. So you're gonna be able to switch it to whatever element you want to actually have the weapon for use. Though I will say, when you go to 5-star uncap, you're gonna have to dismantle, you're gonna have to reduce the weapon, so don't get too attached to it. Just throwing that one out there. I'll talk more about it when we actually talk about 5-star uncapping. So yeah, that is the primary motivator for doing Unite and Fight, to get these Eternals. The Eternals are very strong, and Cygames has done everything to indicate that they will continue to be meta-defining, because like, it just seems like they're going to keep on buffing them if they ever fall out of the meta, and that's fine, because like that fits with where they positioned them in terms of the story. So yeah, this is 6, by the way, if you want to see one. So like, this is his what is this? This is his standard skin, and then his 4-star uncap, and then his 5-star uncap, and like, yeah, these guys are super cool. Also, they are major players in the backstory of the game, so like, it's a lot of fun if you get into the lore of them, or you know, you work towards a favorite Eternal, all of that. So yeah, like I said, there will be more videos in the next few days. Check me out on social media if you want updates on like what I'm working on in terms of vids. Check me out on Patreon, super appreciate that, or follow me on Twitter, super appreciate that as well. I will also be streaming, I think, over the course of the United Fight, since I have a lot of time on my hands right now. Very rare thing. Still figuring out what to do with that time. But yeah, I'll probably stream some during the preliminaries and then some during the actual battles. So yeah, just check out my Twitch. I'll put in the link below also. And yeah, that's all I got for now. I will talk to everybody later. Bye. Love you.